Before I take your questions, I'd like to make the following points very clear. Our priority overnight and throughout the morning is the genuine concern for Harley and his welfare. We can't underestimate the toll of the last 12 hours could and has had on his well-being. That will remain our absolute focus over the coming days. In relation to the illicit drugs policy, the club has always supported its intent, but we've also strongly supported the AFL in flagging changes to it. And we look forward to being part of that discussion. Our position on illicit drugs is very clear. We strongly oppose the use of illicit drugs. However, as we have said all along, we're not naive to think that some of our players are not part of this broader social problem. The Gold Coast Suns is a young club, but a strong club. We're owning the issue and we're dealing with the challenges. We appreciate the support we've been receiving from our members, fans and sponsors, and have been particularly humbled by the support we've received from our colleagues in our industry, who too are dealing with these broader social challenges. Any questions?
I'll answer that. No, he won't play this weekend. With it happening so close to the game, that we're obviously worried about the headspace that Harley's in, and obviously worried about thinking about his welfare. Also from a club point of view and players' point of view, we think it's appropriate that he doesn't play this weekend.
Rodney, will you call him in and have a very frank discussion and say, look, now's the time to lay the cards out?
As Andrew said previously, that we'll just worry about his welfare initially, how he's going. Then in the coming days, probably early next week, we'll see what we need to do. We'll have a chat to him, talk to his circle of friends. But that'll be done the next 4 or 5 days.
How is he going, Rock? What's signalled that changes to the illicit drug policy might be appropriate? He said that he'd really like to see change in that area. In light of this, where do you stand on the policy as it stands?
Yeah, no, we're supporting the fact that it needs to be reviewed, and there's a working group been established to start working on that, and we're certainly looking forward to having some discussions as part of that process.
How is Harley this morning? Rocky, what's his state of mind at the moment? How is Harley this morning?
He was keen to train, and I think from our point of view, we were keen for him as well, rather than just staying at home by himself. We think it was best for him. I think he's masking a bit at the moment. I think he seems to be holding up okay, but certainly longer term, we're going to have to have some talks to him about that, and best for his health. So we'll just see how he is the next few days.
Andrew, when did the club find out about the images, and were there any efforts to try and make sure those weren't published?
We found out about those yesterday afternoon, and I believe certainly some others were having those discussions around whether they were published or not.
What's your initial? You've had to react to the news over the weekend and pull players in and talk to the group. It just seems to be sort of rolling on. Is it disappointing? What's your reaction?
Well, these photos, I guess, are 2.5 years old. So from our point of view, we have been making a number of changes. We've been demanding much higher standards from our group, and that work has been ongoing and progress is being made.
Andrew, since the events of last weekend, you asked the players to come forward. Was Harley the ones? Has he come forward at all to say that he might be?
Nobody's come forward to me as yet, but the process we've now put in place since the weekend is that the AFL Players Association have been up here today. They're working collaboratively with us on that interviewing of the players, and we've now encouraged the players in the first instance to go and talk to them, which will be happening as we speak.
Because the photos are a couple of years old, has Harley indicated that he's a changed man, that this was a one-off party night, maybe not a reflection of how he is today?
As we said, we've been dealing with his welfare overnight. We haven't got into broader discussions at this stage. That will happen over the next few days.
Are you surprised or disappointed that no player has come forward since Monday, though?
No, it's pretty short. It seems to have gone very quick since Monday from our side. We did tell them we were establishing the process as to how we would conduct discussions, and that I'd be back in touch with them, and I did that this morning.
Is Harley receiving any counsel?
We're receiving strong support from both us and the AFLPA. The specifics is not going to get into that.
Is it disturbing that a 2-year-old photo would be used in that way?
Sorry, Russell?
Is it disturbing that a 2-year-old photo would be used in that way?
Oh, we're disappointed to see the photo, but we've just got to deal with the matter now.
Rocket, when he arrived at training, did you ask him how he was? Were you surprised when he said he wanted to train? Because obviously he's pretty big headlines this morning.
Yeah, it is. I suppose from our point of view, we thought it might be better to stay home, but he was keen. I think keen to get around his teammates, and I think probably in hindsight it was better for him to be here rather than being at home. And I think we know how the mind can play games if you're in isolation. So I think he was. I think even a little bit he mentioned that he'd like to play, but we don't think it's best. I think it's a bit of shock. I don't think it's set in yet. Really, the enormity of the press coverage. So we think it's probably best for him not to play this weekend.
And what was your advice beyond that? How he should handle himself over the next couple of days?
No, we haven't spoken to him about that. No. So as I mentioned, it was only come to light late yesterday afternoon. So there's not much time to organise a lot of things at this stage. So we'll have a chat.
Teammates rallying around him today, and obviously positive encouragement right now would probably be the best thing for Harley.
Yeah, I think support from everyone. I think as a club we're going to be strong support around the AFLPA as well. So I think the most important time frame for us is over the next 2 or 3 days with Harley, and then probably come Monday or Tuesday we'll start to have a look at other things.
Have these developments made it harder for you to achieve the sort of things you're trying to do at the club?
No, certainly when I came to the club, there was eyes open. There was some words around some areas that needed to be addressed and improved. And now I've been at 7 clubs over a long period of time, and I think it would be naive to think that some issues haven't occurred at those clubs in my time as well, and that's including long-standing clubs that have been around for a long time. This is a young club. We've made some improvement, we've made some traction, some growth in leadership and certainly our culture, and we're looking forward to the challenge of getting this club to where we should be.
Has the club been in touch with the CCC or with police since yesterday?
Not since yesterday afternoon. We did make inquiries to them earlier in the week.
Disappointed that they refused to play ball as far as helping you out with names and so.
All we could do is ask for the statement, which we did, and we've now given the response that won't be forthcoming, and we're satisfied we've asked the right question.
Does this sort of thing, when you see the image, it seems like it's outside that 3 strikes thing in the AFL's domain. Is there anything in his contract that you would act upon during the club and disrepute, or anything you would assess with something like this?
Look, we haven't got to the spot of where to from here. As I've said, we're just dealing with the welfare and support for Harley today, and over the coming days, that will be those questions will be considered.
You've been through a whole series of individual photos that have come out. Can Harley basically just come out and say to you, look, that's not the way that the evening happened, and you might have put it in Australian context and sort of denied it straight away?
No, he hasn't denied it. So, but we haven't asked him any pointed questions at this stage. But we'll address that over the next few days.
And the speculation that Harley may not be at this club next year, not that as much as that today, but what about his future? Do you think he'll be at the club next year? Talk about him moving on.
Well, if you take what's happened the last 24 hours out of the thing, know that we'd like Harley to be at this club. There's no doubt. I know there's a lot of speculation. He's got a 2-year contract. We'd certainly like Harley to be here. We see him as part of our fabric, or as part of our growth going forward. We'd still like to think that'd be the case. So whether it's counselling, whether it's work that needs to be done, whether it's some hard talk that needs to be had, I'm not too sure. But no, we'll certainly think about that over the next week or so.
So even in light of today, if you do re-include that, even in light of today, you still want to keep him on your books?
Oh, no, I certainly would think of that at this stage. We haven't thought about that.
Andrew, a lot's been said about Harley's behaviour record in the last couple of years. A few off-field indiscretions here and there. Can you shed some light on how he has responded to this and how he's acknowledged club punishments and so forth? Has he taken it well? I mean, how can we expect this to play out?
Look, I'm not sure. I haven't been involved in direct discussions with him around those. If there are issues, that's stuff in the past, and I guess I can just deal with today. I'm not really sure of what they might be.
So the club has monitored him throughout the journey then, obviously, and helped support when he has had the previous indiscretions?
Well, again, I'm not sure what they are specifically, but like all our players, we provide them support, welfare. We've got an obligation to educate and make them better people and better players, and that's our approach with all our players.
A lot of people have brought up the situation with Campbell Brown, how assault overseas and whatever, automatic suspension, contract torn up. How is this different to that situation with obviously drugs or illicit criminal activity, whatever? How has this been played out with the arm around Harley and Campbell Brown was pushed aside?
Look, my understanding is that that action was taken after a thorough investigation, and so I would expect the process had been similar. That initially there's support, and then the investigation, what actually took place, is completed, and then decisions are made, and that process would be no different.
So you do believe the evidence is still not out there fully for Harley, and needs further investigation?
Yeah, all we've done to date is supported him and looked and considered his health and well-being, and other matters will now be considered in the coming days.
You've asked the players to come forward, and today's an example of how the club can be blindsided if they don't do exactly that and help you guys. You're going to reinforce, here's Exhibit A, please help us help you guys. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, look, we've been really encouraged by the discussions we've had with our leadership group. We want them to continually own and drive the standards, and that's where we've got to get to as a club to be a successful club, is have a really strong leadership group driving those standards day in, day out, policing those standards and holding each other to account if they're not met, and that's where we want to get to as a club.
Andrew, is this a club in crisis, do you think, or do you think you can overcome this sort of situation?
Yeah, no, we've got challenges. We're certainly owning those challenges, and we're going to deal with them.
Is it harder to sell the image of the family support of the Suns? You know, like Bachman down in Melbourne has sort of said that he's still behind the club. Is that important to know that the AFL is going to work with you guys?
Absolutely. The support we've had, as I said, from fans, members, sponsors, and the AFL has been really humbling, and we appreciate that support. And we're working through this with the AFL and the AFL Players Association to get better.
Is it harder to sell the image of a family club? Is it harder to sell the image of a family club when this sort of thing is happening?
Oh, look, I think we've established really strong credibility and connection with the way we've gone about it as a club, and hopefully that holds you in good stead. Because, as I said, from time to time, things will happen. We won't be immune from that. Other clubs aren't immune from that, and that's part of being an AFL club.
This weekend was supposed to be a big game for the Suns. How much is this going to impact the players
We spoke to the players this morning. Had the AFLPA speak as well as Andrew, and then Gary and the leaders spoke to the group by themselves. And I think the way they trained, that their focus is on the weekend. So we don't want to be distracted from that. We had a meeting after training as well, and it's about our focus about the Kangaroos and the weekend. So that we were poor last weekend, and we need to bounce back.
Andrew, when the players come forward, will you go forward and say, righto, none of you have spoken up, we're going to have our own independent drug tests, everyone's going to be tested right now, today, go?
No, look, we haven't got to that end point. What we've encouraged is for them to come forward. What we're trying to do is ascertain all the information we can, and then I guess we'll deal with the facts once we've got them.
Andrew, you tried to speak to Carmichael Hunt, and after all the investment the club and the AFL put in to him over the years, would you expect some sort of apology, public or private?
We've approached Carmichael's lawyers and seeking to understand the statement in more detail, and that's as far as we've gone at this point in time.
But you'd still like to hear from them eventually, obviously, directly? Just a phone call just to say, look, this is what's happening. Sorry, didn't mean this to happen.
Yeah, I haven't considered that at this stage. We'll see how the other process unfolds and whether that's necessary or not.
Only a couple more questions, guys. Andrew, what would you say if you're running in the street?
Don't know, he might not recognise me.
Would you say anything to Harley about associating with Carmichael? Still obviously very close to living with him. Is there any concerns if they were still friends or in contact? Or
Me?
Any
I haven't thought about that. From what I've been told, that Carmichael had quite a positive influence on quite a few players. Obviously, he had some dealings with Harley as well, and that hasn't worked out well. They made some bad decisions. So, whether this one you can blame Carmichael or not, it's fact 2.5 years ago, so I don't know if you can blame Carmichael. Harley's got to take some responsibility for his decision making as well. So, I think like any club, any sport, any code, whether it's male or female, every club's going to face some issues on this area. There's no doubt about that, and it's who you associate with, and you can't stop people certainly associating with certain people at certain times. But we'll have some discussions around that and keep educating.
Andrew, what do you say to the fans? Obviously, the credibility of any football club is tested due to an incident like this. What do you say to the Gold Coast elite that are pretty shocked by what you're seeing on the front page?
Yeah, look, we've got passionate fans like all clubs, and they're going to have different views on the matter. We understand that. We encourage them to express those and talk to us. By and large, we had an open training session out here this morning. It was great to get them out and support the team. What we really want is their support here on the weekend. Get right behind our team, and we want to have a win against North Melbourne, and hopefully Family Day they'll come out in strong numbers. Thanks very much.